Hey, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast where you'll learn how to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. No influencer status necessary. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we're currently on a break from our regular series format for a fun Q&A episode today. I get so many questions related to how long a summit should be, when it should be, how many speakers there should be, all that kinds of stuff. So today in episode 52, we're going to get all of those questions answered. And you know I'm not one to sit here and waste time, so let's dive right in with that first question, which is, when is the best time to host a summit? And overall, you guys know what my answer is going to be, but overall, this will depend on your topic and audience. So for example, most of the time, December would not be great for a summit for online business owners because we're checked out. We're thinking about the holidays. We're trying to wrap up those final goals for the current year while still dreaming up a whole bunch of new goals for the next year. We're distracted and not likely to pay attention to something for too long. But if your business is related to planning, or maybe you even sell a planner, a December summit could be a great thing for you to do. And I'm sure there are other examples of summits that could work great in December, but that was the most obvious answer I wanted to give you to kind of wrap your mind around the idea of times that won't work well for a summit. So there are a few questions I want you to consider when you're trying to figure out your time frame. First, when is your audience most motivated to take action? If there's a time of the year or a certain season where they're more motivated than others, it's a great time to host a summit. Also think about, when are they the least distracted? What time of year do they have, not as much going on so they can really focus on an incredible event you're going to host? And when are holidays you should watch out for? Now, for me, I don't have a great answer for myself for that first question of when is your audience most motivated to take action? But I do know that they're super distracted all summer long while their kids are out of school and they just kind of want to be outside enjoying the weather, maybe going on some vacations. So you will never see me launch a summit in June through August unless I start some new random business. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But I also know that they tend to check out in December and January, like I said before, for the holidays and for planning and to get started on new goals or finish up old ones. So you won't see me do one then either. I also do my very best to avoid any major US holidays since most of my audience is in the US, although I did forget to look at my calendar closely in 2019 and ended up holding my kickoff call on Easter Sunday, which was a little bit of an oops there, but it worked out. Any time where your audience isn't distracted by other things is perfect. If there's a certain time of year when they're more motivated to take action, that's even better. But think about what's going to be best for you and also don't overthink this decision. Whenever you do it is going to be fine. The next question I want to go over is, what day of the week should my summit start? And again, this answer is going to depend for every person, but it will depend on how long your summit is and who you are serving through it. So for example, my summits up to this point have been 5 days long and are for designers who run their own businesses. Since my audience is not around on the weekends and they tend to enjoy time with their family instead, my summits are always Monday through Friday. That's when they're around to pay attention to this kind of thing. If I did a 3-day summit instead, I would probably choose to start my summit on a Tuesday so I could do an opening call on Monday and have that extra day to drive registrations. But to take a different angle, to give you as an example, I recently attended a 3 or 4 day summit for parents of toddlers. And that summit ran Friday through, I think, Monday. And this worked out really well since most parents of toddlers are working during the week and don't have time to sit and watch presentations not related to work, but their schedule does tend to be a little more open on the weekends, as much as toddlers will allow at least. So that was a great choice for that host to make. And you can consider the same thing with your summit's timing. If your audience is business owners who are currently working full-time jobs, you might even choose to run your presentations in the evening after normal work hours. But really, there's no right answer. Just consider what is going to work best with the way your audience works. The next question we'll dive into is, how long should my summit be? Is 2 days too short? And this is another question where I don't think there's a right answer. Personally, I would not go less than 2 days or 2 days or less because it seems like a lot of work for such a small event. Like at that point, there's not really much of a downside for adding one extra day. But if it's going to make it feel more doable for you, or if your audience will only be able to watch maybe on a weekend and you want to do like a Saturday, Sunday summit, a 2-day event might be perfect. In general, though, the sweet spot is 3 to 5 days. I have seen summits go up to 2 weeks, and that, I will tell you, is too much. 3 to 5 days is a great time to give your audience a lot of great information, have enough speakers that you're really increasing your reach with their promotion, but not exhaust everyone in the meantime. The next question was, for a 3-day summit, how many speakers should I have and how much is too much? For a first-time summit, I do not recommend going over 5 speakers per day. Those days of the summit are exhausting, and I want to make sure you know what you bargained for with that. So for a 3-day summit, that would land at about 15 speakers. However, don't go too small either, which is a lesson I learned in my second summit, which I don't tell you guys much about because I thought it would be a great idea to have a 5-day summit, I'm saying in air quotes, with 1 speaker a day, and then like implementation time. So each day had a theme. We were really focused on that presentation. We all got together for some co-working sessions, but I found that wasn't even worth hosting compared to a big event. It was just as much work with way less return. So I think that 20 to 30 is a great number. I have seen really incredible summits be run with 15 speakers. So really it's up to you. I like to have the 20 to 30 mark because it's a lot of presentations for everybody to choose from. It's a lot of promo power with those 20 to 30 speakers helping me promote, but it's not like too much that the audience can't even make sense of all the presentations they're seeing listed. Personally, I don't give myself a set number of speakers. I make my list of people I want to pitch. I make my list of topics I want included. And if that ends up being a nice round number, that's cool. But if it's not, like, I don't care. I don't care if the presentations start and end at the same time every day. I don't care if there's exactly 5 presentations per day. Whatever happens, happens. What I'm concerned with is that my audience is getting the information that they need from people who can deliver it well. So I would like you to focus on that also. The next question I want to answer is there a sweet spot for the length of time for speaker videos? And I will give you a set answer on this one. I think 30 minutes of super actionable content is a great place to be. It means people can consume that content in one sitting, but it's still enough to get really great information. However, I do not think it's important that all of your presentations are the same length. I like to give a minimum and a maximum. I do about 25 to 45 minutes and let the presentations be as long as they need to be for my speakers to deliver their content effectively. I have had 2 attendees in the past complain that not all of the presentations are exactly the same, and I don't know what to plan for because of that. And like, my answer is, does it really matter? Like, no, it doesn't really matter. So know that, hey, you might have some interesting people reach out to you because of that, but really what matters is that your speakers have the freedom they need to craft a really great presentation. The last question I want to answer for you guys is, how much time should I leave between the end of one presentation and the beginning of another for people to not feel overwhelmed? And I think 15 to 30 minutes here is a great number. If it's on the higher end of that, encourage people to take time during that break to implement between presentations. So take the action steps the speaker gave and get started on them. And then the lower end of that is great too, because they might have time to grab some food, take a quick bathroom break, maybe jot down some extra notes, and dive right back into the next presentation. But again, don't overthink that one. Overall, the decisions you make about your summit timing, length, size are going to depend on your audience, your topic, and your preference. So don't get caught up in these small decisions that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things and just move forward with your planning. So my action step for you today is to make these decisions and move on. And also keep in mind that you can always adjust. If you get, into your planning phase and you realize, oh, I wish I had left more time between my presentations or less, you can always adjust your schedule. You can always move things around if you need to. And it's not a big deal to do that. Everyone will understand. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. For show notes and resources mentioned, head to summitHostHangout.com/052. With everything we talked about today, I'm sure you can see that giving yourself the right amount of time to plan and think about things and launch your summit is vital to creating a successful event rather than one that looks thrown together. With my free virtual summit prep timeline, you can see the amount of time I recommend setting aside for a summit, my top tips, a look at the big picture tasks, and even a timeline calculator to make sure you plan everything right the first time. So get the virtual summit prep timeline by going to summitHostHangout.com/timeline. In the next episode, we'll be chatting about crafting an engaging event, so be sure to tune in for that. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit.